What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my final thoughts for UFC Vegas 40, and we have a banger of a card. We have Norman Dumont going against Aspen Ladd, and I am very upset. I was looking forward to the Julian Marquez versus Jordan Wright fight. I had so much action on that fight. I had a 3-unit bet on the fight, doesn't go to decision. Got it at minus 260, beat a ton of alignment there. The very first bet I made for this week was actually right after the card. I bet Julian Marquez at like minus 184. He closed around like minus 260. And then I also took a small sprinkle on Jordan Wright to win in round 1 by KO plus 1,300. Beat a ton of line movement, which sucks. Hopefully we see that fight again, but I'll never get the same lines I got there. So that one hurts. And on top of that, I wanted to see the fight. That was the fight. I was pumping it up. Even right after the card was over last week, I started pumping up the fight there, posting pictures of Jordan Wright, the ninja outfit, posting pictures of Marquez, just trying to build up the fight, and it's off. So that one hurt bad. Took a big hit to a card that already has a big hit on it. But we have fights. Last week's card was not great. Still made some money, so hopefully make some money again. And I did lose about half my action, but I still have a good amount of bets. I think I have, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bets. We'll talk about all of those. We'll talk to you guys in the chat. We'll see if we can find some spots here. Patrick, first one in the chat, saying, can't wait to hear Melon's genius picks for the weekend. Yep, Melon always bringing in the good picks. Shout out to Melon. Thomas, I was with you. Max bet Marquez versus Wright, no distance. Didn't max bet it, but I was very, very heavy on it. So, yeah, that sucks. Felt like a really good spot for sure. We have Juwan in the chat. My parlay 100% win, Ameev, Klein, and Fiorot. I do like all three of those. We have the Gaming Wolf in the chat. Hope everyone plays it light this week. It wasn't going to be light, but it's going to be light now that I did lose that Jordan Wright fight. See what else we got in the chat. By the way, if you guys all can leave a like on the video, that'd be much, much appreciated. One small like does go a long way. Civic Chickens. Gutierrez fight could have gone either way. Got lucky on that one. I mean, sometimes you get lucky in the game, but sometimes you get unlucky. So you got to take the luck when you get it. So yeah, shout out to Gutierrez. I thought he clearly won, but it was closer than I'd like it to be. Dom on Sanchez and Davis. I am on one of the two, and I even have a bet on one of the two. Tony saying, hey, Brady, fun card this weekend, although the main event should be the first fight of the night. Yeah, the main event's not great. Not looking forward to it, but there's some good fights. I mean, I'm looking forward to Klein Landwehr. I'm looking forward to Fiorot, Bueno, Silva. But outside of that, I guess Silva, Sanchez should be fun. But it's, really hard to get excited for this card, especially with the best fight on the card getting off, which is the Wright Marquez fight. Rexley in the chat as well. This card has my eye to it. It's not great. Adrian with the dono. That mofo Tom Breeze in the house. What is up, Adrian? How you doing? Bill, let's crush the lady fights. Yeah, I have one bet on one of the lady fights for sure. Appreciate that. Jawan, Buffo in the house as well. Zayed, let's win some cash tomorrow. I agree. Luis as well. Are you on Godinez? Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that fight. Jason in the chat. Godinez only lock for me. You're not gonna like to hear what I have to say then. Davis is. I hope he is hungry. Lupita is small. Exactly, Prodigy. I thought I had like a takedown locked up. I ended up getting second on DK because somebody stacked Rosa, Damon Jackson. He took it down solo, but yeah, I still got second place. I said it last week. Like, these are the slates where I typically do my best, where everybody's like, oh, I'm not playing this week. There's only 9-10 fights. That's when I typically like do really good. So I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to making some money. But man, this card, it's hard to get excited for it. So Klein's a lock. Nothing in MMA is a lock. Johnny Walker versus Thiago Santos went the distance a couple weeks ago, but I do like him to win. So before we get started, I do want to shout out the sponsor, as always, Pub Sports Radio. I actually made an appearance last week on Saturday, watched some of the fights live, talked some live betting. That was fun. Don't know if I'll be back on, but I'll be back on very soon on there. I'm always on Pub Sports Radio doing content. Sunday with Uncle Weezy, Tuesday for the Draftkings show with AJ, Luke, and then Uncle Weezy as well. And then I'm on there with Billy Briz doing some NFL content. So you can check me out on Pub Sports Radio. Shout out to the guys over there. Bro, thanks to you. I went 13-3 over the last 3 weeks off your picks. Hit that like button pronto. Yeah, in terms of picks, like in the last 3 cards, I've only got 4 picks wrong. So hopefully keep that rolling, because yeah, picks are important as well. Bets come number 1, but picks are always fun. Oh, I'm never gonna let that go, James. Never, never ever gonna let that go. There's some things I just won't let go, like Rodolfo Vieira. I won't let that go. like Agapova losing to Dobson. There's just some things you can't let go. All right. So again, appreciate you all hanging out in the chat for, especially on a card like this. I'll be going live actually tonight at 10 o'clock on Narco Cop's channel. Narco Cop, the guy that you see on Saturday here on my channel. Going to be going live with him. Liam, I believe Age is going to be on there as well. It should be a fun stream. Then check that out. And then I'll be going live 1 hour prior to when the prelim start for Best Bet, where me, Narco, Wheezy, and then I'll have a special guest tomorrow. We're going to give our best bet for each and every fight on the card, which is always a fun stream. A lot of people seem to like it, including me. So with all that out of the way, I say we get into the first fight of the night, and we're kicking it off with a banger. Ariana Carnelossi going against Estela Nunez. I do lean slightly to the dog. There's just not a ton of info here, right? Like Nunez, we have not seen her in 3 years. The last time she fought was like around 26 years old. She's now 29. And from what I've seen, I actually really liked her striking. She has a Muay Thai background. She's more defensively sound as well. I guess the big hole in her game is going to be that takedown defense, which in 3 years, you got to expect she has made some improvements. But even then, that's not Ariana Carnelossi's game. She doesn't go out there and try to get the fight down to the mat all that often. So if this fight does stay standing for 15 minutes, I think it's going to be very, very close. So I'll lean to the dog. If I was to bet it, it would be on the dog, but there's just not enough information on Nunez. As far as DK goes, I think Nunez is an interesting dog at 7,700. I think this fight as a whole is going to be pretty low owned. So Nunez as far as a pick, but didn't put any money on it. I'd like to see more from Nunez. I'd like to see how she performs this week, but I think she could be an interesting dog spot. So taking Nunez with not a ton of confidence, but Carnelossi is very hittable. Very, very hittable. And if Carnelossi does not go to her wrestling here, I think it's going to be a very close fight. So give me the dog here in Nunez. As far as props go, I think the fight goes the distance is interesting. I think fight goes the distance is like minus 160, minus 165. I don't hate that. Nunez has a 29% finish rate. Carnelossi has a 77. If this fight does finish, maybe it is on the Carnelossi side, but yeah, I'm going to say this does go the distance. So that would be my probably preferred play, if anything, would be the fight goes, which is like minus 165. So yeah, not the best fight to start off the card really at all, but that's what we're dealing with for this week. Let's see here. Anthony liking Dumont. We'll talk about Dumont. Does Nunez have finish upside? I mean, she only has, I think, 2 finishes on her record. I think she had a head kick. Doesn't strike me as somebody that has a ton of power, though. The irony of Nunez getting suspended from USADA. Yeah, you think Carnelossi be the one getting suspended. She is jacked city. Tio, what's up, Tio? Let's make some cash this weekend. Yes, sir. First fight of the night, making optimal. I don't have my lineup percentages pulled up, but I don't imagine I have a lot of this fight. I lean towards no, but it's 10 fights. So got to sprinkle some in. Typically, we have seen in this first fight of the night find the optimal. So maybe we do, but I don't know. Usually they've been finishing, but I kind of see this one going the distance. All right, so let's move on to the next fight of the night. We have Dana Backrell going against Brandon Davis. I did take a half-unit stab here on Brandon Davis. The reason being, I thought this line was pretty off. It still does not make sense to me. And I'm one that's pretty high in Dana Backrell. Backrell's won me money in the last 2 fights, knocking out Guido Canetti, knocking out Kevin Natividad. But now he's a pretty big favorite. He actually opened up minus 300 against Brandon Davis. I got Brandon Davis plus 155. I have half a unit on it. The reason being, I think this is going to be a very close fight. Like even on the feet, I slightly favor Dana, but it's going to be very competitive. Like my thinking is if Dana does not knock out Brandon Davis, who's never been knocked out, I think this is going to be a very, very competitive fight. And even then, I think Davis can mix in takedowns. We've seen Backrell taken down in that 3rd round against Haile Alatang, where he was taken down multiple times, and he didn't really have an answer for that. So I can see Brandon Davis mixing in takedowns here. And on top of that, like he has the size advantage by a significant margin. I think it's like 3 inches of height, 3 inches of reach. He looked like the bigger guy at weigh-ins as well. And then on top of that, he's fought the much better competition. He's more experienced. He's fought guys like Giga Chikadze. He's fought guys like Zabit. So, yeah, this is a fight where I think it's dog or pass for sure. I'm a big Dana guy, but this line just makes no sense to me. Like, are people expecting Dana to knock out Davis? I mean, it's possible Dana hits hard, but Davis is tough as nails. If Giga couldn't knock him out, guys like Zabit, guys like that, maybe Dana can, but Davis has a chin on him for sure. So I'm going to take the dog shot on Davis. I'd like Davis to win by decision. I know Uncle Weezy is on that fight goes to decision. I don't hate that as well, but yeah, I took a half-unit stab on Brandon Davis, plus 155. We do see him. He's now down to plus 130. I thought that line would close a lot more, to be honest, but it's kind of sticking around there. So, yep, I'm fine with Davis, though. Half-unit shot. Give me Davis for the win there. As far as DK goes, there's not a ton of great dogs, but I think Davis is interesting. Takedown upside, I think it's going to be a very close fight. If he does get the win, it could be enough on a 10-fight slate. So give me Davis there. Helping push the rest of the day of work day. Let's go, Travis. Thank you for hanging out. Sosa in the chat saying, here comes the money. Here it comes. What do you think of Brandon Davis' decision only on DraftKings to take out Dana flash KO? I can't see Dana winning a decision. I'm kind of with you there, depending on the line. I think that's a decent way to look at it there. You don't hate that. I showed up 7 minutes late. Do more comments so I can catch up. All right, Levi, I got you. Next week, we have some UFC and Bellator is in Russia. Safe Lakers. There we go. Dylan saying dog or pass. Yeah, I don't really see a ton of people on the Dana side, which is weird because the line isn't moving as much as I really thought it would be. But yeah, the line doesn't make sense. If Dana knocks him out, so be it. But if he does not knock him out, I do expect this to be a very close and competitive fight. And I'd rather be on the plus 155 than like the minus 180 of Dana. Davis decision only plus 120. Yeah, I think it's worth a shot. I think it's worth a shot there. Yeah, Uncle Weezy in the chat. I'm crestfallen. The Marquez right fell through. What's happening, everybody? Yeah, I'm still upset with that, man. I couldn't believe it. I know Uncle Weezy had like 4 units total on Marquez. He had 3 units on the fight doesn't go to decision. Me and Uncle Weezy were invested into that fight. So, yeah, that sucks, but we still have some more spots that we can talk about for sure. Tio with the dono, 777. Appreciate you, Tio. Appreciate you, Brady. I got a feeling about this weekend. Good luck, everybody. Hopefully that feeling is right. Appreciate the dono. Appreciate you hanging out and for supporting. Yep, Weezy was 7.725 units deep. I think it was like 5.25 units deep. So yeah, that hurt. But we still have some more spots to talk about. So yeah, I have a half unit on Davis. The next fight, Lupita Godinez going against Luana Carolina. And yeah, this is an interesting fight because you do take a look at the sizes of the two. And we see that Godinez is 5'2", Carolina 5'6". Carolina with a 69-inch reach, Godinez with a 61. And if you saw the weigh-ins, Godinez is going to be at a significant height disadvantage, and I could even see it being a bigger advantage than the 4 inches does indicate. It looked like a lot more than 4 inches to me. So, yeah, we just saw it last week, right? Godinez looked phenomenal in her last fight against some bum. But Carolina, although I'm not high on her, she does do some things that I do like. She's very long, she's very lengthy, and she's very tricky on the feet. And she actually has very good takedown defense. On paper, it is sitting around 90%. And I liked Eubanks against her, but I wasn't like overly confident in it because I went back and watched tape on Carolina. Her takedown defense actually looks pretty good. We saw the weigh-ins today. Lupi weighed in, I think, at like 121 pounds, which is very, very concerning to me because she's going to be small in this fight. Like, this is not her weight class. She's coming up a weight class here, and she's even small for 115 as well. So that's a big concern here because Carolina is huge. So for me, I do have a play on this fight. First of all, it would be dog or pass all day. I would not lay minus 210 on Lupi. I see a lot of people playing her and parlaying her. She very well could win. But yeah, just the size is really sketching me out, and especially considering she did weigh in at 121 pounds. She's going to be undersized. So if she does not get the takedowns, it could be like close on the feet, especially with that 8 or 9 inch reach disadvantage. So what I did do was play the fight goes to decision. I think there was a ton of recency bias in this line. So I have fight goes the distance, minus 152, 1.5 units. And my question to the chat is, if Lupi did not finish that bum in her last fight, what would the fight go to the distance be in this fight? Minus 300, minus 275, minus 250 at the least. But since she did finish Juarez, we now see the fight goes the distance is minus 152 because people think Lupi is some crazy finisher now, which she's not. She has no knockouts on her record. She has 2 submission wins, a 33% finish rate for Lupi, and Carolina not a finisher either, 43% finish rate for Carolina. So I think this does go to decision. I think it's very, very greasy. I think it's probably going to be a very, very close fight. And I'm actually going to pick the dog in Carolina as far as the pick goes. I have the wrong one highlighted here. Just put this in today. But yeah, I'm going to pick the dog in Carolina. I know it's going to upset a lot of people that are over on Godinez's side, which I get it. She probably can win, but I think the size is going to be a big factor in this fight. And Carolina, say what you want about her. I'm not high on her, but she is It's a big step up going from Juarez at 115 pounds to Carolina, a big Carolina at 125 pounds, coming in undersized. So I'm going to pick the dog. Am I going to bet it? No. If I was to bet a side, it would be the dog side. But I think the fight goes the distance, definitely does cover both sides. And if you know me, you know that I never bet overs. I never bet fight goes the distance. And I have 2 of those bets on this card. This is the very first card in about a couple months probably where I have no violence bets. I have no unders and I have no fight to go, doesn't go to decision bets. I did have one on Marquez right, but that fight's off. So yeah, I'm going with some fight goes the distance bets this week. And yeah, I'm fine pulling the trigger. They're minus 152 in a fight like this. Both fighters don't even have a 50% finish rate. Yeah, I mean, sign me up. I just think it's tons of recency bias on that line. So give me that. As far as DK goes, I think Carolina is interesting at her price tag. What, 7,200? Very cheap. If she can stuff the takedowns, I think she can have success. On the flip side, Godinez, I have a little bit of her because if she does implement her game plan of getting the takedowns, she could have success there as well. But yeah, more so interested on the Carolina side on DK for the massive price savings. So, yep, I have the fight goes the distance, though. Don't really care who wins, but I just wanted to go the decision. I think it does as well. Levi caught up. What is up, Levi? Yeah, I was going to be 100% exposed to that fight. It just sucks because that was the fight I was looking forward to the most this week. And last week, it was Hawes and Win, and that fight got canceled. So I can't believe it. Bunkoots, what is up, man? How you doing? Is this the first person to fight back-to-back cards? I believe it is. I think she is setting a record here. I don't think Carolina, I don't think Lupi can match up with her physically. That's my concern as well. That is definitely my concern there. True, Godinez is smaller, but guys, don't forget she can throw hands. Yes, she can. But that 9-inch reach disadvantage, though, that's something to mention. I think Godinez can win this standing. Last performance doesn't make her a wrestler. Yeah, I just the 8 or 9-inch reach disadvantage, that kind of scares me away a little bit. Yep, first person to have a quickest turnaround 7 days, and appreciate you, Adrian, for the dono. Didn't you say before that you hate take? Yes, I hate taking decision props. I can't even watch fights when I do, but this is a fight where I think I'm comfortable with it. But yeah, I typically don't like taking decision props ever. I have Lupi by a controlled decision and pretty confident in it. Carolina has not showed me anything. Yeah, I'm not big on Carolina as well, but I think the size is going to be pretty big here. But yeah, we'll see. I think Lupi can very well win. I'll be rooting for her, but I just hate the line. Dog or pass. Something just telling me Godinez finishes. Carolina strikes me as a quitter, and I think Godinez is just built different. Haven't really seen Carolina quit ever. She got knee barred, if you want to consider that a quit, but I'm sure most people would quit from that knee bar. That was nasty. Even Lipsky knee barred. Luana, man, come on. Yep, she did. Brady, no mana bets. My dude, I'm late. Didn't see anything on Patreon. No man on bets. No, especially where the line's at now, but I do like her to win. Back row KOs Davis round 2. It could happen. He has a ton of power. Yep, here it comes. Lupita, Godinez army. Yep, everybody's lining up on Lupita. I get it. She was already hyped before. Now she's fighting on 7 days' notice. She's going to gain a lot of hype. I hope she wins. I really do. But am I going to lay minus 200? No. Definitely not. But I don't care who wins. I want the fight to go the distance. So we'll move on. Sorry, I did not mean to upset the Lupi fans out there, but I'm picking Carolina. Glad to see Brady on Carolina. Not sure if people are seeing in Lupi with an 8-inch reach disadvantage and most likely 10 to 15 pound size disadvantage. Yeah, it's just not good. The one is going to win size, reach, and better cardio. Agree with all those. Ameev, Mana, and Klein. Who screws me this parlay? I don't think any of them screw you, but if I had to rank them of one screwing, I'd say Ameev has the best chance to screw you, and then Mana, and then Klein, but I think all 3 should win. All right, moving on. Next, we have Ramazan Ameev going against Danny Roberts. No action here on this one. I remember Ramazan Ameev earlier in the week was like minus 230. I got tempted there, but didn't play it. And now he's at minus 350. No prop sticks out here. Nothing really sticks out here, especially with the lines that I think Ameev has a pretty clear path to victory of exploiting that takedown defense of Roberts, using a wrestling-heavy game plan, getting it down to the mat. And Ameev was originally a fade for me on DK, but now that we lost the Marquez side, we lost that fight in general. Only now that we're only at 10 fights, I think Ameev is back in play for me because if he does win, he's not typically somebody that's going to finish at all. He has a 47% finish rate, but he can get takedowns. He can get control time. and I can see him scoring like 85, 90 points. And on a 10-fight slate, that very well could be enough. So Ramazan Ameev, I do have some of them on DraftKings. As far as Roberts, I have a little bit sprinkled in there. Roberts is a finisher, 76% finish rate. We have seen Ameev knocked out and submitted, but I think Ameev does get it done with a very boring game plan, getting takedowns, grinding Roberts against the cage, controlling him, and winning a pretty clear-cut decision. So give me Ramazan Ameev. The decision prop, minus 105, I'd like that better than the minus 350, but Roberts has been finished in all 5 of his losses, which I don't like that. So yeah, just a clear, easy pass for me. I'm going to sit back and watch this one, get my exposure on DraftKings. I think both Ameev and Roberts are decent targets on DraftKings there, but I'm more so on the Ameev side myself. Ameev gets paid to go to decisions. He sure does. He is a decisionator for sure. Yep, Dylan got Ameev at decision, plus 110. You did beat some line movement there. I don't hate it. Don't hate it. Ameev by a boring decision. I'm right there with you. Pretty safe parlay piece. Ameev, Arlovski over 2.5 is safe. Yeah, I think both are fine for sure. Over under 3.5 takedowns for Ameev. That's close. I probably lean slightly over. I can see him getting maybe 4 or 5, but not much confidence on that. I know he's going to get at least probably 2 or 3. But yeah, I think Ameev does get it done here. Danny Roberts has never lost a fight that has gone to decision. That is true. That's what's scary about those Ameev decision props. When he does lose, he gets finished. So this will be the very first time. But yeah, I don't have any money on it myself. But I'll pick Ameev to win. I'll pick Ameev to win by decision. All right. So next we do have Bruno Silva going against Andrew Sanchez. Another fight that I don't have action on. We have Silva, who is minus 155. Andrew Sanchez is plus 135. I heard an interview with Sanchez, which if you're on the Sanchez side, you're going to like to hear this. He said he's going to go back to his roots, which is wrestling. Remember back earlier in Sanchez's career in the UFC where he'd go for a ton of takedowns. He'd kind of slow down as the fight goes on. We'd see, a few times where he'd kind of wrestle himself out and he'd get tired. And, Anthony Smith was able to finish him in that 3rd round. James was able to finish him in the 3rd round as well. So he's going back to that style in this fight, which, yeah, he should. He's not going to want to stand and strike with Bruno Silva, who has a ton of power, hits like a truck, 85% finish rate. Andrew Sanchez, he's hittable. He's been knocked out 4 times. So Sanchez is going to want to go to that grappling-heavy game plan. What I will say is this is going to be my highest exposed fight on a DK outside of the main event. If Bruno Silva wins, expect a knockout. If Andrew Sanchez wins, expect a lot of takedowns, a lot of control time. And it probably scores well as well. So, yeah, I like this fight from a DK perspective. As far as, betting aside, I don't have any interest. I am going to stick with my pick for Bruno Silva, though, because we have seen Sanchez go after that wrestling-heavy game plan, slow down, gas out, and get finished later the fight goes. And we have not seen Sanchez wrestle frequently all that often in his last few fights. So he's going to have to go back to the game plan. He said he was, but you can never take these what these fighters say to heart. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I think at some point Bruno Silva does catch that chin and knock him out. So give me Bruno Silva as far as a pick, but minus 155, no thank you. I'm going to say Bruno Silva does knock him out, which is plus 145, which is not good enough for me as well. Just sit back and watch. I'll get my exposure to it on DK, but should be a really fun fight. Bruno Silva and both Andrew Sanchez are both very fun fighters, so I don't hate that. Dev saying Klein, Manon, Ameev, Dana, and Ariane locks. I only disagree on 2 of those. And nothing's a lock. Nothing's a lock. Touch of death. Yes, he does have the touch of death for sure. Silva should get the KO, but Sanchez can grind it out. He could. That's his path to victory, grinding it out. Under 2.5 worthwhile or fight does go to decision. I'd say yep. I think he does get knocked out at some point. Under 2.5, I don't know the line. I think it's like minus 150, which is right around the Silva line. So I'd probably lean towards that. He will gas out like Wellington did if he grapples again and then enters the shadow realm in middle of the second. Yeah, I think he does catch him at some point as well. There is a first. Yep, there is a first time for everything. That's the truth. That is the truth. A lot of people in the Discord like Sanchez. I'm not feeling it. Yeah, I'm not feeling it as well. I mean, it has a path to victory. It's just, I don't know. Prodigy says 90% ownership on this fight. Sanchez has faced way better competition, but Silva has that power. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are arguing that Sanchez should probably be the favorite, and maybe he should. But, yeah, Silva has that power to put him out. Underrated fight on the card. Yeah, this is probably at this point maybe like the second or third best fight on the card. It's a good fight. Davis looked like a ghost at weigh-ins. Yeah, he looked very drained out. I gotta imagine he's going to rehydrate and look good and look a lot bigger on fight day. I like Bruno Silva as well. Excellent last fight. Bruno, round 3 KO. Sanchez has been put out in the third round. Yep, 3 of his 4 losses are in the third round. He does slow down. Let's see. Bruno carries that power late in the fight. Yes, he does. Davis looked rough today. We're not talking about Davis. We're talking about Silva Sanchez. But yeah, he looked bad. Best dog on the card. Best dogs. I'm gonna say Brandon Davis. Brandon Davis, maybe Dumont, and the Wanda Carolina are the 3 dogs I'm looking at. Estella Nunez as well. Not a lot of options. How would a coach prepare for Silva Sanchez's wrestling? Knee him when a shooting or just back up? How would a coach prepare Silva for Sanchez's wrestling? Knee him when shooting or just back up? You could try to knee him. That could work. But yeah, you take a look at Silva in a lot of his fights outside of the UFC. He's getting taken down easily. He's getting his back taken. But a lot of those fights were like 3-4 years ago. And he looked good. He looked really good in his last fight against Turman. So we'll definitely see. Sanchez by decision. I don't think Bruno can TKO Sanchez. I think he could. He has a ton of power. Nutty card for violence. Klein, Ameev, Fiorot, parlay. Yeah, not a lot of violent spots are sticking out. Typically, I'm all over those violent spots, but I don't have any violence bets outside of Jim Miller. Davis fights at 161 come fight night. He said himself, yeah, that's big, and I can believe it too. I like Davis a lot. Dana hasn't beaten anyone good and got beat by Alatang. That is all true. I still have faith in Arlovski to get it done early. He hasn't got it done early in years. But yeah, he could win. So let's get to the next fight. We have Ludovic Klein going against Nate Landwehr. I do have a parlay with Ludovic Klein. I parlayed up Martin Boudet on the Contender Series, the big heavyweight guy. They got the knee at the first round. Got it at minus 163, 2 units on it. So the first guy got the job done. And yeah, it felt really weird on the Contender Series. I was like 4 units deep on that Hood and Martin Boudet fight. I had the under 1.5, and I also had Boudet in a parlay with Klein here. And yeah, so first I got it done. Looking for Klein to get it done as well. I did parlay Klein at minus 320 earlier in the week. He's now minus 400. I just think it's a really rough matchup for Nate Landwehr, who he doesn't have any striking defense, so that's bad. We saw him knocked out twice in the UFC. And Ludovic Klein is very dangerous. A 94% finish rate for Ludovic Klein. We have seen Nate Landwehr knocked out twice, submitted once as well. And I think there's a very good chance that that Ludovic does land a head kick at some point. I mean, Landwehr is he's a madman. He's going to come forward. He's going to throw volume. But with all that volume and craziness, he leaves a ton of openings. And you do not want to leave openings against Ludovic Klein. I mean, you can get away with it against a Darren Elkins. But against Klein, you can't really get away with being very hittable. So I like Klein here. He is probably my most confident pick on the card at this point. It was Julian Marquez, but Klein, probably my most confident pick on the slate. He's minus 400 now. I do like him to win. Probably win inside the distance as well. Klein will be one of my highest owned fighters on DK as well. And I don't have a ton of Landwehr. I think I sprinkled some because if Landwehr does win, you got to expect a ton of volume and a high score. But I think Ludovic Klein does put his lights out at some point in time. So give me Ludovic Klein to get the win by another brutal knockout, which will make that the third brutal knockout loss for Landwehr in the UFC. Klein should start him within the first couple minutes. I agree. Klein better finish him in the first before the train gets going because they could get dicey in the second and third round. It could. But I think Klein will be fine in all rounds. Maybe the third could be iffy, but I think he'll be fine. Klein all day over Nate the Slain. I like it. The only way this card isn't the worst in history because Shauna Dobson ain't on it. Yes, sadly, Shauna Dobson retired. 80% Klein with only 10 fights. I have to be above the field. Yep, I'm going to be, I think, a little bit above the field as well. What's up, Jeffrey? How you doing? Round 1 for Klein. Yeah, I think he probably does get it done in round 1, but I think it could be any round. Oh, see what else we got in the chat here. Bruno Silva or Miller. I'd probably lean towards the Miller side. Klein should worry if round 3 starts. Should he? I mean, I'm not worried if round 3 starts. Slimy little stab at Klein sub. Yeah, he does have a lot of subs on his record. I can take a look at it. Klein does have a 47% submission rate, so almost half his wins are by submission. And Landwehr has been submitted before, but yeah, I think Klein does get it done in any round he wants. Yeah, that's a tough one. I could very well see a finish, but I could see a decision as well. But I'm more so leaning towards a finish. That's what he does. 94% finish rate. But I wouldn't be shocked if he won a decision as well, just outpointing a very hittable Landwehr for 3 rounds. I could see that as well. All right. Next, we have Manon Fiorot going against Bueno Silva. And yeah, I like Fiorot here as well. The reason being is Bueno Silva has not shot a takedown yet in the UFC, and that is a recipe for disaster here against Manon Fiorot, who's going to be the much better striker. We saw that Bueno Silva, she's very hittable, 47% striking defense. We saw it in the Marina Moroz fight. Moroz landed like almost 140 significant strikes against her. I think Fiorot does win this one. I like Fiorot on DK. I did sprinkle some Bueno Silva because she is very dangerous wherever the fight goes, but especially on the mat. If this fight hits the mat at any point in time, and if you have a Fiorot bet, you are going to be sweating bad. But Bueno Silva's never shot a takedown. So unless Fiorot, for some reason, would shoot a takedown, I don't see why. If they slip and end up on the mat, like I just don't see this fight hitting the ground. And if I don't see it hitting the ground, it's really hard to pick Bueno Silva here. So I like Fiorot. Still riding the Fiorot train. No money on it, though. I do have her in a Hail Mary parlay, but yeah, minus 250. No, thank you. I saw like minus 170 2 weeks ago. I should have hopped on then, but yeah, minus 250. I'm going to pass at this point. I think Fiorot does knock her out, though. Silva's very tough, but she's going to eat a lot of punches, a lot of hard punches. So Fiorot KO plus 180. I don't hate that, but yeah, another fight, no action for me. I'll have my action on DK. I think Fiorot is a pretty solid spot on DK, 8,900. It's so funny, everyone just saying that about round 3 because they have the Klein Trezano fight in their head where he faded against Trezano, recency biased at work. Yeah, I think he'll be fine in round 3. Dobson retired. She bet herself versus Agapova. Yep, she did retire. Sadly, won't get to see her back again. Denied by KO. I don't think so. He'd be the first one to knock out Brandon Davis. So that'd be huge, but I don't think so. Fiorot is the beast. The hype is real. I think the hype is real. Yeah. Sev got Fiorot minus 185. Good line. Very good line. Very interested in your UFC bets and card breakdown, but did you see the Bellator card this weekend? Any solid picks on that? And the UFC card is a little shaky. I'm actually running so far behind and stuff, so no, haven't got a chance to take a look at it. But I heard the card's really good. Heard the card is really good. I saw that David Kelton on Twitter laid 10 units on Fiorot. I think it does hit. Would I lay 10 units on it? No, but I think it does hit. Your breakdown on this fight was spot on. I got a decent action on her at minus 200. There you go. Yeah, you beat the line movement. Well done. Apparently she retired. Victor, finally able to join a live. Let's make some moolah. I agree. What is up, Victor? Thank you for hanging out. Do you think this is a card where only like 2 dogs win? Yeah, I'm predicting like 2 or 3, so maybe. You got a Hail Mary parlay you can share, not off the top of my head, but I do know Manon Fiorot is one of those pieces, and I know Ludovic Klein is one of those pieces. I think Jim Miller is one of those pieces as well. Yeah, I'm leaning towards KO, but no money on it. So Jesse's on Brandon Davis by knockout. Yep, good luck. Like I said, Denal will be the first one to do it. And I'm a big Denal guy, so that's saying a lot for me. I'm a big Denal guy. He's made me a lot of money the last 2 fights. All right, moving on. We have 1 second, guys. All right. We have Jim Miller going against Eric Gonzalez, and I do have a bet on this fight. So I guess the big narrative with Jim Miller is the guy has not won a fight outside of the first round in a long time. I think it's like 2015 or 2016 since Jim Miller has last won a fight that did not hit the first round, did not hit the second round. His last 4 wins are all by first round and first round submission. And I kind of think that happens here. You take a look at Gonzalez, and his takedown defense is horrible, and he's been submitted twice. Like, everything's lining up for a Jim Miller first round submission. If Jim Miller does not get a first round submission, I have concerns about him, going forward in that fight, because Jim Miller does slow down a lot after the first round. That's why you see when he does not get that first round sub, he loses a lot, especially as of late. He's now 38 years old. So, what I did was I did take a half unit stab on Jim Miller to win in round one, half a unit plus 550. I also saw Jim Miller to win by round one sub was plus 750 at one point. I think it's still like plus 700 on FanDuel. And I took the round one just in case like a TKO could happen, cover both sides. But yeah, Jim Miller, round one, plus 550. Jim Miller by sub, plus 700, plus 750. I think both are great spots to look at. Jim Miller by sub, I think I saw it at like plus 250 as well. Plus 170 around there. So yeah, I think Jim Miller does get it done. Jim Miller is actually one of my highest exposed fighters on DK, because if he does win, again, it's going to be in round one. It's going to score a ton. I think this is a massive, massive step up in competition for Eric Gonzalez, and I think Jim Miller does tap him out in that first round. So give me Jim Miller, round one sub, half a unit on Jim Miller to win in round one. Don't like going crazy on these round props, so I didn't only put half a unit on it, but I think there's a pretty solid chance he does win in round one. Sosa took fight, doesn't go to decision, plus 100. You're talking about the Miller fight. I don't hate that. I don't hate it. Or if you're talking about the Silva fight, the Fiorot Silva fight, I don't hate that one either, but not enough for me to bet on it personally. Davis and Dumont pays 337. Yeah, I typically don't like parlaying underdogs, but I am picking both those to win. Yeah, I have some Roberts just because he's dangerous. Just because he's dangerous. I think he loses, but if he does win, maybe it's a finish. Miller is pretty much done, but I think they're giving him a going away gift. Gonzalez has been submitted twice and is not UFC level. 100% agree with that statement. 100% agree with that statement. Hit the like button. Appreciate that, Dylan. Yeah, if we can get the likes that'd be sweet. 208 of you guys in here. Appreciate that. Especially on a card like this. Really means a lot to see you guys hanging out here on a Friday. Miller came out and took round two from Vince Pichel, and it was decent in the third. He still got it. Yeah, he still has something left, but like I said, he hasn't won it out of the first round in a while. So maybe second round sub prod could be something to look at as well. But yeah, I don't know. I think Miller gets it done early. I think one takedown and it's probably over. Loop is poop. Carolina second round KO, but I like Jim too. Good pick, Brady. Appreciate that. I wouldn't say Loop is poop, but I am picking Carolina, but I'm picking her by decision. Dev liking the card. Anybody else like the card? Like, shout out to Dev. I don't like this card. I did like it. I actually did like it with Wright and Marquez on it, but now that Wright and Marquez is off, it's really hard to get excited about this card. But I'll watch it, make some money hopefully. But yeah, interesting. Great card. Fiorot will finish Bueno. All this caution. This fight won't be Bueno for Silva. I like it. Yeah, I think Fiorot does get her out of there. Yep, with you there. I like every card. A bad card is better than no card. That's what I always say. Great card. So many. Dev's not a troll, but I don't know what he's talking about there. It's not a good card. Seems okay. Better with beers. Every card after this is pretty decent. Maybe not so much next week. Next week's is better, but we have 267 and 268 back to back. So that's looking forward to that. Giant Lad and Big Norm as a headliner certainly doesn't scream great card. And nope. This is a violence card. At least 6 finishes. Watch. Let's see how many finishes I'm predicting. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm predicting 4, which is pretty low. But maybe it does surprise us, but I don't have any violence bets this week, which is weird. It seems like months since I've not had a violence bet, but nothing's sticking out. All right. I agree. This is the card of the century. Can't get any better than this. Klein, Landwehr, Miller, Gonzalez, Silva, Sanchez, Ladd, Dumont, Anderson, Bader, all not to go the distance. I also had Marquez Wright in that parlay, but that pick just will be voided. Yep, I guess the only thing that would worry me would be the Ladd Dumont one, but We'll see. Give me Lad, Arlovski, Fiorot, Klein, Sanchez, Godinez, and back row as my locks. Nothing is a lock. Lad is going to dominate, maybe. All right, so we'll move on to the next fight. We have the co-main event. Carlos Felipe going against Andre Arlovski. I do have a play here as well. Yeah, like who cares who wins this fight, right? Like this fight is going to go to decision. It's going to be sloppy. It's going to be very greasy. Whichever side you bet, and if you lose, you're gonna scream robbery. We're gonna hear a lot of robbery calls on Twitter. Because it's gonna be close. It's gonna be a very close fight. Like who knows who's going to win this one? It's going to be very sloppy, and I really don't know who's going to win. But what I do know is I think there's a good chance this goes the distance. So what I did was I put 1.5 units on the fight goes to decision, minus 152, rolling with that. Arlovski has not had a knockout win or a finish win in I think like 18 or 19 fights. It's been a long time since Arlovski's put somebody out. On the flip side, Felipe has no power, it seems like, for heavyweight. Only a 55% finish rate. And when I went back and saw the finishes he was getting, it was either TKOs on the mat or like guys that just gassed out in 30 seconds. Type of the finishes like that. He's been to decision in all 4 of his UFC fights, and I think that does continue here against Andre Arlovski. Even then, like you take a look at Arlovski's been knocked out 11 times, but you take a look at who's knocking him out, and they are very hard hitters. Guys such as Jairzinho Rozenstruik, he hits pretty hard, right? Guys like Francis Ngannou, that guy hits pretty hard, doesn't he? Guys like Overeem, guys like Stipe, those are his knockout losses, and I just don't think that Felipe compares to a Francis Ngannou. That's just my opinion, though. Other people might have different opinions, but I think it goes the distance. I'll pick Felipe. I'll pick the younger fighter. But if you told me Arlovski wins the decision using his veteran savvy, that I couldn't argue with you. I could not argue with you at all. But all I know is I have money for it to go the distance. And you guys know me. I don't ever bet fight goes the distance. I hate them. I don't ever bet overs, but I have 2 of them on this card, and I like them both. So we'll see what happens. Felipe by split. Whoever wins is going to be by split decision. Andre by decision. Arlovski, yeah, he did look a lot taller. He did. Dumont has looked way better than Lad lately. Lad was getting worked by Yana Kunitskaya before the 3rd round comeback. That is true. We'll talk about that fight soon. Which fighter has more wins via getting outstruck, Felipe or Chookagian? Definitely Chookagian, but I get what you're saying. Felipe was outstruck big time in his last fight against Collier by like literally 45 strikes around there, and he won. It took, yeah, anybody by split decision, I think there's value on that for sure. Arlovski fight goes to decision is easy money. I keep seeing like something about Ben, but I don't see any Ben in the chat. So if my mods can ban Jeffrey, I don't know who it is, but I don't see any Ben. Felipe is younger. Some people parlay. I wouldn't parlay anybody in this fight. Got a feeling on Arlovski goes to sleep. Yeah, I'd be shocked. Doesn't look like Felipe hits really hard. I like Felipe, but have to go with the gatekeeper Arlovski. This is the fight. Yeah, this is the kind of fights he wins, so I get it. But yeah, either way, I don't really care who wins. I just want it to go to decision, and then I'd be happy. All right, so main event time. I want to remind you guys to leave a like. That'd be much appreciated. Subscribe. And then also going live 1 hour prior to the prelims tomorrow. Prelims start, I believe, at 4:30. The fights will, or my live stream will be going live at 3:30. Best bet, me, Uncle Weezy, Narco Cop, and a special guest will be on as well. And we'll give our best bet for each and every fight on the card. Always a fun show there. So let's get into the main event. Dumont has no ground game. She also is flat-footed, which is great for Lad. Yeah, I mean, Dumont has a ground game. That's kind of what I thought of her when she came into the UFC. I thought, yeah, she's pretty good on the mat. She's a brown belt in BJJ. You take a look at Dumont's fights outside of the UFC. She's taking fighters down and submitting them. So I kind of thought, yeah, she's a grappler, but she went into the Ashley Evans Smith fight and completely, outstruck Ashley Evans Smith, knocked her down at once as well. And she showed that she was a striker as well, really good striking. So yeah, Dumont's pretty well rounded in my opinion. Yeah, this is a fight where I did take a half unit stab on Dumont at plus 130. Yeah, I took a plus 130 stab on Dumont, half a unit on it. Don't like this fight at all, but there's just so many red flags on the lad side. I'll start naming them off. One being she has not fought in 2 years. Another being she's coming off of multiple serious injuries, ACL, MCL. Another being she just missed weight 2 weeks ago, horrible weight cut. Another one being she's coming up a weight class for the first time in her career, 145. And there's just so many red flags on the Aspen Ladd side, and just seeing her as a favorite is kind of weird to me. Like on the feet, like it's Dumont all day. It's not even debatable. Dumont striking is really solid. Aspen Ladd striking is not great on the feet, or defense is horrible. At Ladd's path to victory, he's going to be taking down Dumont, which is easier said than done, especially at 145. Dumont's very strong, very thick. I feel like if Dumont can stuff the takedowns, it's going to look pretty easy. And on the flip side, I wouldn't be shocked if Dumont got takedowns as well. That wouldn't shock me. Dumont actually took down Felicia Spencer, which was weird. I thought it'd be the other way around. I thought Spencer would try to take down Dumont, but Spencer attempted 0 takedowns. But yeah, I'm going to take a half unit shot on Dumont. Not like overly confident about it, but kind of fading those red flags of Ladd. And I guess the one thing that concerned me was Dumont in the third round against Spencer. She looked really tired, but I believe she came in that fight on short notice. And on top of that, she was training for a 5-round fight. She looks to be in phenomenal shape. Ladd was training for a 3-round fight a couple weeks ago, botched weight cut. So yeah, I think Dumont's cardio should look better, especially not coming in on short notice, especially training for a 5-round fight. So yeah, we'll see. But as far as DK goes, about 100%, not 100%, but close to 100% exposed on this fight. I think I have a slightly more Dumont. I think it's like 45 to like 40, something like that in terms of Dumont, just because of the price tag. But I think both fighters are in play for DK. But yeah, I'm going to side with Dumont. Gonna side with Dumont there for the win. Can't believe this. Can't believe this fight, but we'll see. All right. I'm on Dumont. Ladd seems lots of hype on Ladd for sure. People love her screaming, yelling, ground and pound. People like that. Big Norm all day. Thick Dumont decision. Norma may not be good on the feet. Oh, I'm impressed with her, but you may not think she's good on the feet. But if you don't think she's good, I don't know what you think about Aspen Ladd. Dumont looks like a little muscle machine. Thick. That is true. Dumont, Carnelossi plus Corey Anderson, Semenko in Abba parlay. I've not looked into Bellator, so can't give you any info on that. All insider info says Ladd has everything going against her. Yeah, everything going against her. Dumont was training for 5 rounds with Holly Holm. Yep. Who would drink Ladd's milkshake? I've never heard that phrase, but I kind of like it. What's your ownership for the main? I think, like I said, I think I have like 45% Dumont off the top of my head, like 40 to 41% Ladd, something like that. I can see Ladd having an adrenaline dump and Dumont start teeing her up on the feet, and Ladd folds and takes her paycheck. I don't know what's going to happen. It's a weird fight, but we'll see. And I kind of agree with Lee here. Like, this is one of the worst main events. I don't like this fight. Got you, David. On a full camp for 5 rounds, I'd have Ladd as a big favorite, but under these circumstances, it's a dog or pass for me. And I kind of agree with that. Yeah, if there weren't question marks of Ladd, say, coming off of 2 serious injuries, if there weren't question marks of Ladd just having a terrible weight cut 2 weeks ago, if there were none of these question marks, yeah, I agree with you. I would have Ladd as a moderate favorite, but has a lot of things going against her. So. But yeah, guys, that is the card. That's it. My goodness, that is it. Like, there are some good fights, right? Like Klein, Landwehr should be fun. Silva, Sanchez should be fun. Fiorot, Bueno, Silva. Those 3 right there, I'm looking forward to. Jim Miller as well. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Watching the Ameev Rocco fight, Ameev looked really sloppy. Can one bet on Roberts to sprawl and brawl, or is it too risky? At this price tag, I mean, maybe take a shot on Roberts. If you do, it's probably inside the distance. But yeah, I think Ameev just gets it done though. Brady, why are you taking Nunez? Yeah, no confidence, no bet, but just banking on the potential improvements. And she has a hole in her game, and that's the takedown defense. And that's not something Carnelossi goes to. And Carnelossi is very hittable. Nunez, a Muay Thai background, very good striking. And like I said, those potential improvements. But yeah, there's just not enough information for me to be confident in that pick at all. Um, I drink your milkshake. There will be blood. Better captain on DK, Bruno or Dumont. Those are both are good, right? Both are going to both are good captains. Maybe Bruno with that first round, second round knockout, but I think Dumont's fine as well. Bad main event, good card. There's some good fights on it. Klein a lock. Nothing is a lock in MMA, as we just saw Santos Walker go the distance. But I will say Klein's my most confident pick on the slate. But even then, like I'm not overly like confident on Klein, but he's my most confident pick out of everything. I'm worried about Ameev on my parlay. Ameev, Klein, and Fiorot. Yeah, he'd be the only one I'd be worried about, but I think they all three do get it done. We need a couple NFL locks to prop this card up, or PFL or Bellator. Yeah, get into the NFL stuff tonight. Gotta look into that. Devastating Klein and Mannon are locks. Nothing's a lock, but I do like those. Nothing is a lock. We saw Santos. We saw Shanna Dobson beat Maria Agapova. We saw Fluffy Hernandez submit Rodolfo Vieira. There's just no such thing as a lock in this game. Klein's a lock. There's no such thing as a lock, ever. Adrian with the dono. Draftkings, if you are going for the takedown, be underweight on Klein. He likely wins, but I suspect the price doesn't get justified. Yeah, I'm about the same in terms of the field, but I get what you're saying. He's going to be very high owned. I get what you're saying. But I'll quickly go through my bets and then answer any final questions you guys that keep saying the lock. I don't know. Nothing's a lock in this game. But yeah, so 2 straight bets, just small plays, half unit shots on Norma Dumont plus 130. Brandon Davis half unit there as well, taking some shots on some dogs. Have Klein closing out that parlay with the Contender Series heavyweight there, minus 163, 2 units. Jim Miller winning in round 1, half a unit plus 550. And then I have 2 fight goes to decision bets. Arlovski Felipe goes the distance, minus 152, 1.5 units. Godinez Carolina fight goes the distance, minus 152, 1.5 units. Kind of a short card for me, but like I said earlier, all my action was on that right Marquez fight. 3 units on the fight doesn't go. 2 units on Marquez. Gone. All gone. Yeah, there was actually a couple people on Fluffy that night. That was crazy. I'll never forget that night. Yeah, Valentina or Amanda Nunez. Yeah, we saw Meridov. Yeah, there's just so many scenarios where people are like, "Oh, that's a lock," and I've seen people like say like plays like Lad's a lock or like Dumont's a lock. Like, no. Hopefully, nobody's saying Felipe or Arlovski's a lock. None of them. Definitely not. Few sprinkles by Landwehr by KO. Yeah, I think if Landwehr does win, it's more so by decision for me, but you never know. All right, guys. Cutting it a little short. It was a short card. You guys can please leave a like, subscribe. Always do appreciate you guys in the chat for hanging out, as always, especially on a card like this. Betting breakdown video will be out tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. Draftkings video is out. Finally getting caught up. I did my betting article. That is out. Draftkings article is on the way. And yeah, I think we covered about everything. Going live once more, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow for the prelims. Me, Uncle Weezy, Narco Cop, and a very special guest. And I agree with Juwan. Party at Wheezy's. There was going to be a party at Wheezy's if Marquez knocked out Beverly Hills Ninja, but we won't know. We won't know. So again, thank you guys so much. Do appreciate all the support. And good luck on this card. Can't wait for next week. We'll be back soon. And then 267, 268 are coming up as well. So we'll get through it. These last couple cards have not been great, but still making money, so can't complain.